There is one specific thing about the villainous queen you never learned about, how one folktale shaped modern monsters that rarely makes it into the version we usually hear. In 1812, the Brothers Grimm published Snow White, introducing us to a queen with a heart as cold as ice, driven to madness by jealousy. But did you know there's a deeper, darker tale lurking beneath the surface? A folktale that predates those well-known stories, one that paints a far more sinister picture of women in power. This story has not only shaped our understanding of fairy tale villains, but also echoes in modern representations of female antagonists in movies and television. Let's dive into the tale of Lady Midday, a mysterious figure from Slavic folklore, and see how her legacy has cast a long shadow over the villains we know today. Lady Midday, or Poludnica, is a spirit who haunts the fields during the hottest part of the day. Imagine this. It's noon, the sun is blazing, and she appears to weary workers. At first glance, she seems beautiful, almost enchanting. But here's where the story takes a dark turn. She lures men into her embrace, only to drive them mad or even kill them. This isn't just a simple ghost story. It's a powerful feminist narrative about the fear of women who threaten the patriarchal order. What's fascinating is how this fear manifests in the stories we tell. Fast forward to today, and we see a resurgence of villainous queens, from Maleficent to the Ice Queen in Frozen. These characters aren't just evil for the sake of it. They often embody complex motivations rooted in pain, rejection, and empowerment. They resonate with audiences because they mirror the very real struggles women face in a world that often underestimates them. The villainous queen isn't just a trope, she's become a symbol of defiance, refusing to be relegated to the sidelines. Take Maleficent, for example. Initially portrayed as an uncontestable villain, the 2014 film reimagines her as a misunderstood fairy, fighting against betrayal and loss. This is an increasingly common narrative, a shift from flat evil to nuanced depth. It's as if we're saying, hey, women can be powerful and flawed. They can make terrible choices, but those choices often stem from something deeper. This pivot towards complexity is no coincidence. The rise of feminist storytelling has sparked a renewed interest in these characters. Audiences crave narratives that reflect the multifaceted nature of womanhood. The villainous queen becomes a vessel through which we explore societal fears, especially fears surrounding female anger and ambition. The more powerful the queen, the more terrifying she becomes to those who try to control her. But let's dig a little deeper. Why do we find ourselves so captivated by these stories? Perhaps it's because they challenge the status quo. Think about it, a woman who defies the expectations of her role, who refuses to play by the rules, is inherently captivating. We're drawn to complexity. We're fascinated by what lies beneath the surface. Lady Midday embodies that allure too. She's more than a cautionary tale. She's the manifestation of society's anxieties about women stepping out of their prescribed roles. Let's look at the evolution of the wicked queen in literature over the centuries. In classic tales, she often appears as a vain, jealous figure. Think of the evil queen in Snow White. These representations offer a dual narrative, the danger of unchecked ambition and the fear of women wielding power. But as we move into the modern era, these villains are reclaiming their narratives. They're not just foils for the heroes, they're becoming the protagonists in their own stories. Consider the way the Wicked Witch of the West, from The Wizard of Oz, has been reinterpreted in Wicked. Suddenly she's not just a villain, but a misunderstood woman fighting against a corrupt system. This reframing invites us to reconsider the way we view all villains, particularly female ones. They're not simply evil, they're products of their environments, dealing with trauma, betrayal, and systemic oppression. And let's not ignore the cultural implications. In many traditions, powerful women were often demonized. Lady Midday, with her vengeful spirit, echoes a historical pattern of vilifying women who step outside societal norms. This pattern hasn't disappeared. We see it today when ambitious women in leadership roles are labeled as bossy or too aggressive. This connection between folklore and modern storytelling is compelling. As we embrace more complex narratives, we're not just changing our entertainment. We're challenging deep-seated cultural narratives about femininity. The villainous queen, with all her flaws and fierceness, becomes a mirror reflecting our own struggles. Who hasn't felt like an outsider, or been judged harshly for standing out? Look at shows like Game of Thrones. Cersei Lannister stands as a powerful embodiment of this villainous queen archetype. She's driven, ruthless, and unapologetically ambitious, breaking every mold that seeks to constrain her. But rather than simply hating her, viewers are often compelled to understand her motivations, her fierce protectiveness of her family, and her pursuit of power in a world dominated by men. What's happening now in storytelling is a push against this binary of good and evil. Female villains are painted with shades of gray, allowing for a richness that makes them feel real. They resonate with audiences who are tired of one-dimensional characters. They reflect the complexity of human experience, especially for women navigating a world that often expects them to be perfect, gentle, and submissive. As we embrace these stories, we must also acknowledge their impact. They have the potential to empower and inspire. By showcasing the struggles and triumphs of villainous queens, we're redefining what it means to be powerful. We're reclaiming narratives that have long been used to suppress women's ambitions. So, what can you take away from this exploration of the villainous queens who have shaped our understanding of monsters? It's crucial to recognize that these stories are not just tales of evil. They are intricately woven reflections of societal fears and aspirations. They challenge us to reconsider our definitions of power, ambition, and what it means to be a woman in today's world. As you watch the next blockbuster featuring a villainous queen, think about the layers at play. Understand that these characters are crafted from a rich tapestry of history, culture, and shared experiences. They challenge us, provoke us, and invite us to empathize rather than judge. In a world that often vilifies women who reach for power, stories like these remind us that every villain has her story, one filled with complexity, pain, and ultimately a fierce kind of strength. So the next time you encounter a queen who seems wicked, take a moment, look closer. She might just be a reflection of the struggles women face in a world that has always been a bit too eager to label them monsters. Recognize the depth of these narratives, and you might just find yourself rooting for the very queens that society fears. Not a minor detail. This is the thing that actually determines the direction of the whole story. This is what makes the picture different from the summary version you have probably already heard. Once that context is in place, a lot of other things about the villainous queen you never learned about, how one folktale shaped modern monsters, start to make more sense. The pattern inside the villainous queen you never learned about, how one folktale shaped modern monsters, is consistent, and that is what makes it worth getting into properly. The pattern inside the villainous queen you never learned about, how one folktale shaped modern monsters, is consistent, and that is what makes it worth getting into properly. The pattern inside the villainous queen you never learned about, how one folktale shaped modern monsters, is consistent, and that is what makes it worth getting into properly. The pattern inside the villainous queen you never learned about, how one folktale shaped modern monsters, is consistent, and that is what makes it worth getting into properly. The pattern inside the villainous queen you never learned about, how one folktale shaped modern monsters, is consistent. The pattern inside the villainous queen you never learned about, how one folktale shaped modern monsters, is consistent, and that is what makes it worth getting into properly. If this breakdown helped, share your take in the comments and subscribe for the next one.